This is the RV Advisor Podcast with your host, Tom Alexander. Get all the latest information, trends, advice from experts, stories from the road, and more in the world of recreational vehicles. Now, here's Tom.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the RV Advisor Podcast. I'm Tom Alexander, and joining me today, it is Patrick and Patty McCormick, and they are from Travels with Delaney. Not to be confused with the movie Crossing Delancey. Just got to clear that up. Travels with Delaney. And Delaney was a dog that was near and dear to your heart for a long time.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
she was.
Delaney was our American Cocker Spaniel. And when we started our YouTube channel a little over 3 years ago, we took Delaney everywhere. That's kind of why we got into RVing, was so that we could take our dogs with us wherever we went. And so we had named it after Delaney because we were going to kind of feature her and show RVers all the wonderful places you can go with your pets. Mm-hmm. And then unfortunately, about 6 months after we started the channel, Delaney passed away from cancer. And so we really kind of debated, like, what do we do? But we decided at that point, we were already 6 months in to building our brand. And we also wanted to keep the name kind of as a tribute to her because, you know, she inspired us every day with, we would take her backpacking. She would literally carry her own backpack with her food and her water. We'd take her to the beach. She was just an amazing companion and part of our family. So
yeah, well, you know, and the Spaniel breed is so loyal. So many different breeds of dogs are great and loyal. Obviously, man's best friend, right? But
Yeah.
But you know, I know the Spaniels firsthand are just wonderful, and you've stayed within the Spaniel family and kind of. Now have some cousins, I guess you could say, on board, right, with the King Charles Cavalier Spaniels. And tell us a little bit about those two.
Oh, my goodness. We started with Truman. After Delaney passed, we weren't sure if we wanted another dog. And so after, I don't know, maybe like 6 months.
About 6 months, yeah.
Friends of ours have King Charles Spaniels. And they were like, have you thought about getting another dog? And we're like, well, not yet. And they're like, well, we have a friend who is a breeder, and that's where they have their two dogs, Charlie and Harry, I think. Harry and Charlotte, yeah. Sorry. So we're like, okay. So the next day, Patrick gets a message from Barb, our friend, and says they have one left. And it was a picture of a black and tan little puppy, and would you like him? And that was like a no-brainer. So yes, we took on Truman. So we named him Truman. And then she says after because they brought him to us, and then she said, you know, I put your name on the list for the next litter because Truman's going to need a buddy. Truman's going to need a pal.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we're just doing one first. But so she did. And then we talked about it, and we said if the next litter, if there was a Blenheim, which is the ruby and white cavy, that we would want it to be a girl. And so then our friend Barb in the next litter came 4 months later they had a girl left in the litter, so that was our little best. So now they each have a buddy, and they're like true brother and sister, even though they're from a different litter. They have the same dad, but my goodness, they play rough, and but then they're like a big massive dog on each other, just all cuddled up together. They could be so loving. And little Bess actually mothers Truman, and she'll see her at times cleaning his face for him, and he just takes it. He just sits there. And he'll tell her when he's had enough, and they just love hanging out together. So they're two good little puppies.
Yeah, that's terrific. You know, speaking from experience, we had a Cavalier Spaniel, and I'm going to hold the phone up to the monitor here. That was our Ginger from many years ago, and we had her for 9 years, almost 10 years, and she was just a great dog. And so I can certainly relate, you know, and they're wonderful. Where are you calling from today? Where are you located right now?
So we live in Angola, Indiana, which is the northeast corner of Indiana. I always tell people we are close enough we can go to Ohio or Michigan for dinner. So we're right at the intersection of the Indiana Toll Road and Interstate 69.
Now, is that close to the lake or no? Are you near the lake where you are?
No.
No.
Are you referring to Lake Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No, you're on the other side.
We're on the other side.
Right.
Yeah, we're actually closer to Lake Erie. Probably,
Lake Erie, yeah.
Yeah.
So. Right. And so you said northeast in Indiana.
Yes.
And so your RV travels take you pretty much everywhere, I would imagine, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, so we're a little different than a lot of the RV YouTube or social media channels that are out there because we're not full-time RVers. We're both in education. Patty,
I teach 6th grade English, language arts.
And then I'm a department chair at our local community college for business administration and hospitality. So what that does is it affords us the opportunity. We tend to travel during the summer months, and then over all the major breaks like the holiday breaks and spring break. But the rest of the time of the year, we always tell our subscribers we're a lot like them. We're the weekend warriors, just looking for the weekend to get our RV out there and go explore. But we know we're blessed in the sense that we get that 6-7 weeks in the summer, and we love just taking off. For instance, we just got back from 33 nights on the road. We went out and spent the whole month of July in Montana.
Oh, wow. Big sky country. It had to be beautiful.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Gorgeous.
Well, that's terrific. Well, we want to find out a little more about your travels and what the dogs are doing as well. We're speaking with Patrick and Patty McCormick, and you're watching and listening to the RV Advisor podcast. I'm Tom Alexander. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hey, RV owners and those thinking about owning. Want to maximize the fun and minimize the hassle of buying an RV? You need GPS. It's Gigi's personal service. Our $350 package gets you me, the expert advice, and a host of outstanding services. Visit thervadvisor.com.
We are back on the RV Advisor podcast with Patrick and Patty McCormick, and Travels with Delancey. That's all you got to remember. Travels with Delancey, and you can catch them on YouTube, on their YouTube channel. They're also on Instagram. And I know that you started the YouTube channel just a little over 3 years ago, back in June of 17.
Yes.
And it's grown from there, and you've got a lot of followers, and people track you, and the dogs, of course. And you went to Montana. You went to Big Sky Country. You spent 33 days on the road. And, well, that said, there had to be, as always, some great highlights.
Oh, yeah. I tell you, we love that part of the country. One of the things I always tell people is when you go out to Montana and the Pacific Northwest, even if it gets warm during the day, it cools down at night. And I'm not sure. I think we maybe ran the air conditioner 1 or 2 days the entire trip. So we headed out to West Yellowstone initially, and we hosted what we call a subscriber camp out. And what we basically do is we will pick out 2-3 times a year a location and a date, and we invite any of our subscribers who want to come hang out with us for the weekend. And it just gives us a chance to really bring the community together. And we just share stories and ideas and try to help each other out. And so we did end up doing the camp out in West Yellowstone the first weekend after, I think it was the 4th of July. We had about 36 or 38 people in attendance. And,
oh, wow.
It was a little non-traditional compared to what we've done in the past because of everything going on with the pandemic. So we couldn't do our normal potluck dinners and big breakfasts, but we were still able to bring everybody together and properly social distance and have a good time.
Yeah.
And so, so that's kind of where we started out. And then we ended up at Glacier National Park for a few days, which, Glacier is just absolutely gorgeous. If anybody's never been there, it definitely should be on their list of places to visit here in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. We talk about this all the time. I mean, I know that a lot of folks that watch and listen are, world travelers as well. I mean, under normal circumstances, the pandemic has changed a lot of that. But I also hear from so many folks that, there's so much to see in our country, and we often tend to not see it all, and I'm guilty as charged. There's some states that are very much on my list, places I want to see that I've yet to see. And that part of the country that you're talking about is part of that. I've not been to Montana, the Dakotas, and Wyoming and Idaho, and I really want to. Those are places that I know have just pristine beauty and just unparalleled vistas. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. Now, believe me, that is very much on my list. So hopefully, I'm going to follow your lead.
Yeah, and the great thing about, even if you decide a person doesn't want to go to, let's say, the national parks, which tend to be very busy, just once you get out there, there's so many great little towns to explore, and the scenery is just beautiful. You mentioned the Dakotas. We went out through South Dakota and we came home through North Dakota, and I think those are states that a lot of times people don't talk about. Yeah. But again, just absolutely gorgeous. And, and that's one of the things we try to do through our channel is not only help people with getting into RVing and I always say we try to help you avoid the frustrations, giving them tips and techniques of RVing, but then we want to inspire them to get out and see places that they might not normally, like you were just talking about. And so the Dakotas is definitely an area.
Right, especially in North Dakota, we saw, and I didn't realize, the fields of sunflowers.
Oh, yeah.
Just fields and fields of sunflowers, just gorgeous. And then in Montana, we learned this beautiful field of yellow was canola. They make canola oil out of the plants, and it was just a huge fields after fields of bright yellow.
Wow.
Just beautiful. So things like that are just amazing.
Yeah, it sure sounds it. And it's interesting because you both being teachers, do you get any interests from, or are your students aware that you're kind of YouTube celebrities, traveling celebrities, are they kind of inspired by that?
My students over the past few years, and I don't really announce it to
but them, but they haven't they?
they found me, and sometimes it just comes up in conversation, or I'll have one of our shirts on. And a couple years ago, they asked if I had merchandise. Mrs. McCormick, they called it merch. And so I led them in the right direction. But I always tell them, don't buy unless your parents say it's okay on some of the stuff. Like a shirt or whatever, it's $25. That's a lot for some of my kids. But
sure.
So yeah, they followed. And when we did live stream just this last weekend, a couple new students of mine found us and joined us on the live stream when we did our little live stream over the weekend. So yeah, they know, and they always ask what's going on, and they like to hear about a lot of my kids away from the channel. I always talk about national parks, so there's always a national park unit I do in the mystery unit. I found books that are mystery related with the national parks last year when we visited Craters of the Moon National Park, which inspired me to look up those books and then add it to my unit. So I always try to incorporate something I do, like when we hiked the Appalachian Trail, that was part of one lesson that I did with the kids. So I always try to, broaden their horizon, what things they could do when they're an adult or grown up or with their families and things like that. So.
Wow, that's interesting. That's great. And, when you've got a teacher who is a traveler, that's really an added dimension that you can kind of share. I know that you said you speak English, of course, but teach English. Yes. You teach English, so it may not, directly be, it's not like a geography or a history course, right. But I'm sure that you share some of those tales. Right,
and it's just also a way to build that connection with my kids. Yeah. So I always tell them they're my kids. So
yeah,
because we have the puppies, but yeah, so they like to hear sometimes. And plus, it gets us away from the lesson. They think they're not going to have a lesson, but actually, it's a lesson in itself. So it leads to a lesson. They're like, oh man, now we got to do that. But yeah,
yeah. Oh, believe me, I'm well aware. My wife's a math teacher, and so I hear all that stuff. Particularly when we were doing a lot of the virtual teaching, and you'd hear the kids. I think "oh man" was heard many, many times. Oh, really? Oh man. So
yeah, that's their vocabulary. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, listen, this is terrific, and let folks know where they can easily track you and follow your adventures.
So they can go to travelswithdelaney.com, which is our website, and that'll link them to everything. But we are actually on YouTube, Instagram, and we also have a Facebook page. Mm-hmm. We put out a new video every Sunday at noon. And again, our channel's really just, I always say it's all about RVing and living life to the fullest. We have, helpful videos on everything from conserving water in your gray tanks to, how to winterize your RV. And then obviously during what I call travel season, then we try to share those adventures with people. So maybe just to, again, inspire them for maybe an upcoming trip they might want to take.
Yeah, absolutely. And by all means, check it out, travelswithdelaney.com. And that'll, like you said, Patrick, that'll get everybody where they need to go and find you. And they can communicate with you from there as well.
Absolutely. We've got links to our email account, and I do respond to everybody's emails. We try to respond to all the comments on YouTube and Facebook. And honestly, to us, that's really what the big takeaway from all of this has been over the last 3 years is this amazing community that we have of like-minded people who, they just want to get out, and whether it's exploring for the weekend or whether it's taking off for the entire summer. Yeah. But it's just really become, I always say, a lot of these people no longer are subscribers or viewers. They have literally become friends.
Sure.
And, we absolutely love trying to help people out and going camping.
That's one of the great things about our campouts is when we can actually meet these people and actually put a face with the name, and then, they meet the puppies and so on. So, yeah.
Well, that's terrific. And it is a recurring theme on this podcast. Where we hear the word community, probably more than any other word, because it really is. It's a giant family out there of people that have connected through this wonderful adventures, and also future friends, and that they don't know yet, but will soon. And it's amazing how it just expands, and it's I think one of the most exciting things about RVing is that connection, that community, and you just never know who you're going to run into, and they might wind up becoming lifelong friends, and they often do. Well, with your dogs, last question, I mean, do they have a favorite place?
Right now, Mr. Truman, the black and tan cabbie, every time we take him outside, he wants to go right to the camper, wouldn't you say?
Well, he absolutely loves going camping.
We're like, we're not going camping right now. He wants to go back in the camper.
Ever since we've gotten home, it's crazy. But I tell you where, I don't know how your cabbie was. Ours absolutely love whenever we can get to a beach.
Yes.
They're not so much into the water itself, but I don't know what it is. I think it's the sand or something, but they seem to really be drawn to the beach. And unfortunately, this year we haven't been able to get them to a beach. But that's when we took them to the beach last year over spring break. Absolutely had a blast there. So
yeah, that's terrific. Well, if folks, you got to check out their dogs. The King Charles Cavalier Spaniels are just the best. If you're thinking about a dog and you're thinking about a great family dog and just a loyal, loving, non-aggressive little family member, furry friend, Cavaliers, man. That's all I got to say. I can't recommend them enough. They're just the greatest. Well, listen, folks, we really do appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. We'd love to have you on again and hear about your next adventures.
Well, we'd love to come back. Thank you so much for inviting us. And next summer we're actually headed to Alaska with the RV. So
wow, okay,
that's the next big adventure.
That's a drive. That's a bit of a drive from Northeast Indiana. Yeah, I love it though. That's terrific. Well, listen, stay safe and healthy, and we'll talk to you again. We hope very soon. Thanks, McCormick's.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And please thank Truman and Bess.
We will.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe we'll see them next time. Maybe we'll actually, maybe they can join us on the show. This is the RV Advisor Podcast. I'm Tom Alexander. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. So long, everybody.